So, Emily Rose, welcome to the sofa.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've been here before, but yes.
Sneaked on, so I saw that.
Yes.
For people watching the live stream, they've probably just seen a fantastic, probably the most bizarre presentation I've ever seen,
Oh,
but
good.
at the same time most delightful.
Oh, well, I'm happy that these hypothetical people are delighted.
That's good.
And yeah, I think bizarre is probably an apt description as
I
well.
think so. But if they didn't see it, they can go back and see it because it's recorded.
Oh, great.
So that's good.
That's something I will make sure to avoid.
But in this, we're just going to have sort of 10, 15 minutes chat and
Okay.
kind of get to know a little bit more about you. And it sounds like you had a kind of very interesting switch between hardware, software,
Mm-hmm.
jumped backwards and forwards a bit.
Yeah.
If you could look back throughout your career, were there a few decisions that you made that really kind of made those switches or made those kind of career paths clear for you?
You know, I think I would be lying if I said that at any point in time anything in my career path had been clear. It's definitely been a wild ride, but I think the one decision that I made time and time again was to just do it. Like I made a personal policy when people started asking me to speak at conferences to just not say no matter how terrified I was.
Yeah, that's
and,
good.
and that's definitely helped and given me a lot of opportunities to try new things. And in terms of getting started with hardware, it was really the same thing. You know, I was working as a computer consultant for this club, and was just doing basic software stuff. And then we realized that there was a need to kind of integrate some of these hardware components, like a physical security system and access control and stuff like that. And I just was like, well, can I do it? How? And just started digging in, and that's how I discovered Arduino and the entire community that surrounded it. So
nice, yeah, nice lead in, I guess. Yeah,
it worked really well.
yeah, and I guess it's given you a good open source grounding, like a lot of it.
Yeah, I owe that almost entirely to the Node.js community.
Okay.
I did my very first presentation at NodeConf at the behest of Michael Rogers, and he has done a lot to kind of help cultivate a sense of being able to get on stage and speak in front of all these people, and encourage me to kind of keep expanding.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's great.
yeah.
Is there anything that you feel like, or if there is a threat, what do you feel like the biggest threat to the open source community is?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think the biggest threat to open source in general is just people's ego.
Yeah.
Like
a lack of willing to get on stage and do performative dance potentially.
right. Yeah, that's the very first time I had done that. It was a little hard for me, but I said, well, why not? But yeah, no, I think ego is a big part of it. There's time and time again you see these flame wars that will occur in GitHub issues or this, that, or the other. And I think at least from my perspective, that really just is attributed to ego and kind of feeling a little too prideful about your projects. And I could give you tons of quotes that I've heard here and there, but I think you get the idea. Is essentially
exactly, yeah.
People are the biggest hurdle.
People always the
but
biggest
problem. But we don't get
problem.
anything done without them, so yeah.
True. If you look, I mean, things change very, very quickly, and actually I guess a little less quickly sometimes in the hardware side, but if you look at things that you were learning and skills that you were using 5 years ago that felt really important and kind of like, this is it. Is there any of those that in 2 years they think they're going to be redundant and they're over?
Oh, yeah. I'm even having trouble figuring out what I was doing 5 years ago. I think 5 years ago I was just discovering Node.js and how it was possible to write JavaScript on the server, and that seemed like the weirdest, wonkiest thing. And I was like, why would anyone want to do that? And now here I am. Gosh, no. I think it comes down to finding ways to evolve and apply the skills that you've come to have it in different ways. Yeah. So I'm not too worried about that.
That's good. Think this is going to still be here in 2 years' time?
I
Maybe
think
not
so.
Here.
It's built really well. It's modeled after the IBM, big bulky hardware keyboards. So this will be around, maybe not in its present form, but I think the concept will definitely.
Maybe they'll be
around.
Multiplying whole orchestras.
Yeah. I would like that. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things I'd like to add to this before the conference is over, is the ability to play chords.
Yeah, that
or
would
do
be very sweet.
Yeah.
That would be very sweet. If you look at the community that, I mean, you say you're very involved in the Node.js community.
Somewhat, yeah.
Like, if you look at your own community around you, and so, I mean, here we're very much in the Scandinavian kind of Nordics. What's going on inside that JS community at the moment that you think might be important for the rest of the kind of wider world community?
I think that the biggest thing that has been happening in the Node community for some time now is just kind of I almost hesitate to call it like a renaissance, but a rediscovery of kind of the Unix philosophy of building very small composable things that you can chain together. So that's something that I have definitely seen kind of propagate into other communities, and that mindset of trying to focus on building as small and as good a feature set as possible, rather than building these grab bags and monoliths of functionality.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess that feels like you can very much own and get into that and be very responsible.
Yeah,
for
it's a scope that's a lot less daunting. It's a lower barrier of entry.
Yeah.
And it ends up creating situations like what happened for me with this project, where I realized that this is something that I wanted to do, and I had never done anything with MIDI before. But I realized that this module that I wrote, Hidstream, 2 years ago, was the perfect module to get this input. And so I think that's a really good example of why that mindset is so important, is that I was not thinking of an instrument when I wrote that. I was actually working on just getting keyboard data to a point of sale system that I was building for the club in a safe manner, so that I could actually filter keystrokes.
So nice when these very practical implications become toys and play, and kind of then develop into who knows what.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that's
fantastic. Yeah. One last question.
Sure.
If you could change, and dressed as you are, I feel like you could change anything about JS, either the language or the community itself, what would that be?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to think about that for a while. If I could change anything about the JS,
you can choose community or the language.
Or the language. I think if I could change anything about the language, I would basically put myself on this TC39 board. These folks that are deciding the future of ECMAScript, and just make my own bespoke language instead. I'm not sure what I would call it.
I was going to say, the next question is, does it have a name?
We could call it NextECScript, I guess. For lack of a better name.
Emily Rose, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure, and I'm looking forward to playing.
Yeah, I would love for you to play, and I'll try to have it set up somewhere nice after the talks are over.
Perfect. Live streamers, we're done here, and enjoy a little break while everybody has lunch, and I guess back later.